Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're mapping out what is hands down the ultimate mountain climb in professional sports. I mean, forget about making it to the NBA as a player for just a second. What does it actually take to step onto that hardwood as the one enforcing the rules, managing those massive egos, and blowing the whistle under the brightest lights in basketball? Let's get into it. 74. That's the magic number. Out of the literal millions of hardcore basketball fans worldwide and the thousands of folks grinding it out officiating at various levels, there are only about 74 active NBA officials employed by the league at any given time. Think about that for a second. That is an incredibly lean staff for a league that spans the entire continent and plays well over 1,000 regular season games every single year. Earning one of those incredibly rare spots? Yeah, it takes years of absolute, unwavering dedication. So, I've got to ask you, do you have what it takes to lock down one of those rare spots? Because listen, this isn't some quick online application process. It is a grueling marathon, not a sprint. We're talking about a journey that demands thousands of hours of real game experience and a willingness to just throw yourself into the league's highly selective, insanely high-pressure evaluation system. Now, this is going to completely bust a massive myth for a lot of casual fans out there who think referees just kind of stand around blowing whistles. The reality? Referees are elite athletes too. Seriously. While a basketball game is 48 minutes on the clock, the actual real-world game time regularly stretches to 2.5, maybe even 3 hours. And during that entire time, officials are constantly moving. They're running full-court transitions, backpedaling, shuffling laterally just to keep perfect positioning. If you don't have peak cardiovascular health and bulletproof joints, you simply aren't going to survive an 82-game season. Honestly, surviving this job requires some heavy armor. Because it's not just the physical grind of running for 3 hours, it's the extreme mental toll. Picture this. You're making split-second decisions while being scrutinized by tens of thousands of screaming fans in the arena, plus millions more watching at home. You've got to de-escalate conflicts with highly competitive, and let's face it, very intense, players and coaches, all without losing your authority on the floor. It's this masterful, high-wire balancing act of intense physical stamina mixed with extreme stress management. All right, Section 1, the baseline requirements. So, here are your absolute non-negotiables to even get started. You've got to be at least 18 years old, have a high school diploma or GED, and pass a completely clean background check. Now, a college degree isn't mandatory, though it definitely helps with networking down the line. But the really crucial point here is that last one. Expert instant recall rulebook knowledge. And look, we're not just talking about knowing what a foul is, right? You need to understand highly obscure scenarios, specific penalty progressions, and the exact language of rules that might literally only happen once in an entire season. You have to know exactly why the rules exist and how they interact when absolute chaos breaks out on the court. Moving on to Section 2, the early hustle. This is the progressive climb, the true grassroots level. And every single NBA official you see on TV started exactly here. Step 1. Officiating youth and local rec games. Think Saturday mornings at the local YMCA. This is where you learn basic court positioning and, maybe more importantly, how to stay calm in a gym packed with highly emotional parents and players. Step 2 is getting state certified to work high school games through orgs like the CIF in California or the UIL in Texas. This is where your reputation really starts to take shape. And then, Step 3, well, that's the massive leap into the collegiate pressure cooker. You start in NAIA or Division III and grind your way up the NCAA ladder. You need some serious experience before even attempting that jump. Section 3, the NBA pipeline. Okay, I want to slow down for just a second here because I really need to emphasize just how intense this sequential progression actually is. Remember, you don't just go online and fill out an application for this. The NBA has an entire scouting network watching high-level college games. They identify candidates and invite only about 100 of the top officials in the entire country to their grassroots camp. If you somehow excel there, you get an invite to the mid-level camp. The field shrinks significantly. Then, only the absolute best of the best move on to the elite camp. From there, a tiny, ultra-select group gets offered contracts to officiate in the NBA G League. Every single stage is an incredibly ruthless filter. And to even get noticed for those camps in the first place, you really have to realize that the officiating world is remarkably small. Getting those coveted invites requires some heavy networking. You're constantly attending regional officiating clinics throughout your high school and college career. You absolutely must build a pristine reputation because, as any pro will tell you, your reputation travels way faster than you might expect. It's all about getting your face and your whistle in front of the right evaluators early on.
All right, Section 4, Surviving Game Day.
Let me tell you, the pacing on game day is just absolutely chaotic. You are out there enforcing the rules and classifying every single foul in real time. But you're also managing the tech side of things, coordinating instant replay reviews with the NBA's massive replay center in Secaucus, New Jersey. Then you're hopping on the in-arena mic to announce challenge decisions to thousands of screaming fans. You're mentally tracking team foul counts, you're enforcing bonus situations. It is just a relentless, nonstop mental and physical juggling act from the opening tip-off straight through to the final buzzer. But hey, the work doesn't stop when the game ends. Not even close. Just as players watch game film to improve, NBA referees have to study footage of their own work. Off the court, you need a massive amount of intellectual honesty. You have to review your own performances, critically self-evaluate your own mistakes, no sugarcoating it, and review games officiated by others just to sharpen your eye. Because guess what? Your performances are formally graded by the league, and those grades directly determine your career longevity and whether or not you get those coveted playoff assignments. The cool part is, this path is open to absolutely anyone who achieves that level of excellence. For a really long time, the pipeline was exclusively male, but that barrier was finally broken back in 1997 by absolute pioneers Violet Palmer and Dee Cantner, the very first women to officiate NBA regular season games. Fast forward to today, and full-time staff referees like Lauren Holtkamp-Sterling prove that the evaluation pipeline is genuinely open to all. The standards apply universally across the board. Pure excellence is the only thing that determines who advances.
Section 5, the ultimate payoff.
So what's the reward for reaching the absolute summit of this mountain? Well, the financial payoff is pretty massive. Entry-level NBA referees can expect to earn somewhere between $150,000 and $250,000 a year. And as you gain experience and start earning high-profile assignments like the playoffs or the NBA Finals, that number jumps considerably. Veteran NBA referees with 20 or more years of experience, they're pulling an upward of $500,000 annually. Someone like Scott Foster, for example, who has over 30 years in the league, reportedly earns over $550,000 a year. Plus, these officials are backed by the National Basketball Referees Association Union, which means they have incredible job security and fantastic benefits.
Section 6, the future of officiating.
Now here's an interesting stat for you. The Bureau of Labor Statistics actually projects a 32% job growth for sports officials broadly over the coming decade. I mean, that's way faster than the national average. But, and this is a really big but, the NBA market itself remains incredibly tight. Because it's such an elite, highly paid gig, there is almost zero turnover among those 74 active spots. So while the officiating industry as a whole is booming, actually breaking into the NBA specifically, yeah, that remains genuinely rare. Which brings us to the ultimate reality check. There are absolutely no shortcuts here. Most working NBA officials spend anywhere between 10 and 20 years officiating before they ever set a single foot on an NBA court. You just cannot rush the process. Evaluators are looking at your maturity and your ability to perform under sustained pressure over a long period of time, not just your ability to memorize a rulebook. It requires an immense, almost unbelievable amount of patience and grit. So I want to leave you with this final kind of provocative thought to chew on. The NBA is getting increasingly interested in automated systems for detecting certain violations on the court, like goaltending or out-of-bounds calls. Now, while that won't eliminate human referees entirely, I mean, you still need humans to manage conflicts and actually contextualize the calls, will automated technology make this exclusive 74-person club even smaller and more competitive in the years ahead? It is a fascinating question for the future of the game. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, keep an eye on the whistle the next time you watch a game.